Okay, so as I was saying, I'm super invested because I was on my For You page one day and I saw this post of like this guy with this girl. And I clicked it because it looked like a really romantic picture. And then it was like this breakup thing, like, may God give us the strength, whatever, whatever. And I was like, that's so weird. Who would do that? Yeah. So I was like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And then I never saw it or heard about it again. And then I saw her on Call Her Daddy. And I was like, no. I've been watching all the clips. I'm very invested now.
It was a great interview.
It was?
Yeah.
Have you watched The Bachelor too?
Yeah. So I actually watched their season.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of like an unconventional season because it was COVID.
Okay.
And they didn't end up together. Like, he didn't propose. He picked her, like, let's date.
Oh,
and
I saw that clip.
And then they broke up.
Okay.
And then they broke up because there was, like, a scandal related to her. Like, she had done some, like, questionable stuff in college in terms of, like, racial things. Him being the first black bachelor, that was obviously controversial.
Yeah.
So she says in the interview, she addresses this. She's like, he had so much pressure from everybody in America, basically, to break up with her. Mm-hmm. So he broke up with her, but they still talked, they still lingered, whatever. And then eventually they decided to, like, work past it and get back together. I think that was, like, a huge mistake on her end, like an oversight. But also that was, like, so many years prior to them being on The Bachelor. So since then, obviously, she'd, like, matured. She seems like a great girl. I've never met her. But
honestly, yeah. When I saw the interview, I was like, she's actually very well-spoken.
Yeah.
So maybe she was a little stupid in college.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
weren't
like,
we all?
I know.
Weren't we all?
Let's
I
hide
have told
everything.
Ivan 1,000 times, I'm like, honestly, I'm so happy as like this teeny tiny micro niche person because I cannot imagine, even whenever I eat like a hamburger or a taco, I just think of like poor Kim Kardashian every time she goes to eat something and paparazzi
100%.
gets those monster photos of them.
No,
it's horrific.
horrible.
It's horrific. Well, welcome back to Coffee.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. It was, I think I told you, you were my first guest I ever had on Coffee.
I'm so honored.
And I looked back to see like how long ago it was.
I checked today also. I was shocked.
It was COVID. We were wearing face masks.
It was 2021.
Insane.
And we both have lived 3 lives since then.
Honestly, caught red-handed.
Literally.
We've had 1,000 lives from now till then. I look back in 2021 and I think even when people tell me, oh, in 3 years, like I'm sure I'll be the same person in 4 years. And I'm like, no. 3 years ago, I was a different human. I don't even know who I was. And now 100%. I think of how long Ivan and I have been together. It feels like everything is just going like this. I don't know.
I know.
Now that I've gotten older too, I'm like, oh, I feel like my parents when I talk to younger kids. I really do.
I know. I was actually just shocked of how much had changed since then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel the same way of how long I've been with Chino, which his name is Armando, but we call him Chino, which is so confusing.
I was going to ask you. I was like, what's the Chino?
Since he was literally a baby, they were like, oh, Chino. Like, it's a very Cuban thing.
Yeah, of course. Like, gordo, flaca.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
but
like,
his really stuck. And, like, everywhere through college. So he's Chino. Like, Armando's a very formal name. Like, when he answers the phone, he's like, it's Armando. I'm like, it's a business call because he's just not.
Like, otherwise.
So I usually call him Chino. But, yeah, we've been together. It's going to be 3 years in February.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, how many things have changed? Our last podcast was 2021. So many things changed. I was still working at the Heat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You hadn't even quit your job yet. I remember you saying, like, you were working up the
courage.
the courage to go quit.
And I was also being careful with what I said because I didn't want people to, like, hear exactly my plan.
Your plan. Yeah. Wow, what a crazy world. And now full-time influencer work.
Yeah.
That's just what you do, like, 24/7.
24/7.
And you don't even do, like, gifted collabs anymore. You've now moved on to where, like, everything you do is basically paid.
This, I feel like, is an important distinction. And I will say it for, like, aspiring content creators watching this. I want them to know, like, there is still some gifted stuff. And even the biggest influencers that you know are still doing stuff gifted. Like, if it's, like, a vacation or, like, they're putting a bunch of furniture in my house, like, big value. So, like, that's the way that I kind of differentiate. If it's a large value, I kind of constitute it like, okay, this makes sense,
right?
You know. But for little nitty gritty, like, oh, here, I'll send you. This sounds like, I feel like it sounds bad when I say it like this.
No, it doesn't.
But,
you're at a different level now, you know.
Or they'll be like, okay, like, I'll send you, like, a shirt if you post it, and it's like, I don't think that it's worth me carving time out of my schedule.
Yeah.
And because I feel like I provide a lot of value, and unfortunately, when it comes to brands, they sometimes don't allocate the funds appropriately, But I always tell them that if they do send it to me, I prioritize it. Like I have a different section of my closet that I prioritize. This has been gifted to me and I'm going to be posting it.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do a good job about getting through to some of those things. But of course, I can't guarantee it. If you want to guarantee it, then there's like a fee and then we're able to kind of work it in that way.
How does it feel now that you're just doing that full time for yourself and you don't have like a place to go to anymore? No office that basically you have to be at.
Well, it's crazy, first of all, because I feel like it's one of those things that I often do this, and I tell Chino this all the time. Like, I'm just like, we need to have a moment of gratitude. And I'll just like start listing everything I'm grateful for, because I feel I'm like what they call like a quejona. Like, I like to complain about random things. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'm like, if I'm going to be complaining about random things, I'm also need to be celebrating random things.
Of course.
So I find myself like really taking these moments of gratitude. And it's funny, like the older I get, I don't know if it's that I'm just more fulfilled in my life, I've just reached like this time that I'm really happy, or if it just comes with age. But I list like all the things that I'm really grateful for. And one of those things is really my job. Like, I love my job so much. I love that I'm able to, you know, just manage my own schedule, and through that be able to be there for different people in my life, you know?
Yeah.
Which, if you are, as you know, being an entrepreneur, being able to manage your life, like how you have Mav here today.
We have Mav here today for everyone who is just like listening. I'm watching him on the baby monitor as we speak.
He's like a real life doll.
He is. I love him so much. He's so beautiful. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to like show the world how beautiful he is. But we've come so far at this point that I'm just like, just leave him off, you know?
Well, do you have a plan for that? Or is it just like a forever thing?
Honestly, it's a forever thing. I think until he's just old enough where he can make his own decisions. It was something that, you know, we were able to come to an agreement with his dad and I. And then, you know, with Ivy, I had explained to Ivan basically like our thoughts on posting and why we protected Mav for so long. And he was like, I'm game. Especially with a little girl. You just don't want to expose them. I think too, at such a young age, especially if I am doing things like YouTube or whatever, people are weird. And with AI these days, I'm so happy that I've never posted him, because now they're like psyching people out. Did you hear about the Brad Pitt thing?
No, what happened?
This lady thought that she was like basically in a full-blown relationship with Brad Pitt. Okay, mind you, like a 50-something-year-old lady, okay? And Brad Pitt is sending videos and photos from the hospital, like literally holding up a thing that says like I heart whatever her name is. So she got super psyched, and he said, Angelina took all my money in the divorce. I have no money, and I'm battling like this really bad illness, and like, can you help me? So this lady had spent like, I want to say it was like almost $60,000 sending this person saying that they were Brad Pitt. It was AI. Yes. And then Matt Rife. That same thing happened with a lady, with the Matt Rife comedian. And she posted like this long thing about how like she thought that she was so in love with her to-be husband, Matt Rife. And it's the same thing, like a 50-something-year-old lady who just got bamboozled and like felt like she was really in love with Matt Rife. It's insane.
That is horrible.
Sometimes I ask myself, like, when I'm in my 50s, like, will my kids be able to like show me things like this and I'll be gullible and like fall for it? Because I just wonder how advanced AI is going to be when we're older. And I think so. Like, my kids are going to be being like, oh, my teacher wants to tell you I have straight A's, and it's going to be BS. I really feel like that's going to be our future.
You're so right. I wonder where it's going to take us.
I don't know. I do think it'll be a place where like dishes will be done by a robot and everything will be done, like cleaning and stuff. I look at my Roomba, and my Roomba like detects the carpets and everything goes around them. And then when it's done, the Roomba mop goes, and they connect to Alexa. Like, she's always
I feel like
listening.
I need a Roomba. I don't have a Roomba. I'm like a Dyson handheld vacuum, which I love it.
Yes.
But
no,
I feel like I need a
Roomba is next level. We need to snip this and then tag Roomba so that you can get sponsored.
I know.
That'll be one of the gifted collaborations. Roomba's like way too expensive.
I'll take a Roomba.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing ever invented. I swear by it. And you can set a schedule and everything, so it goes in the morning and at night when we're not here. And I just like, the house is always cleaned, and especially with the dog inside now, that's my biggest pet peeve is dog hair. So yeah, it's my favorite. You have to get
one.
one.
That's on my list.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So tell me, your house has become content heaven. Every time I see it, just so you know, Ivan is the one who sends me most of your stuff these days.
I am so honored.
He literally is like, babe, do you see what she's doing?
I appreciate a good male follower that's like an actual
yeah. He's like, have you seen her sofa? And I'm like, yes, I have. And by the way, he was very anti like buying fixer-uppers ever. And I'm like, okay, well, the houses he was showing me, I was like, thank you, sweetheart, $4.5 million.
100%.
Yeah, so I was like, this is great. I mean, if we want to spend this much money, cool. But that seems so unreasonable to me, especially you and I both grew up in Miami. We know what prices were at one point.
I know.
Now you're like in West Kendall for $2 million, and I just don't get that concept. So you showing the process of what you can do to a home as long as it's got like the good skeleton has been so inspiring, and probably like very different for you content wise.
Super different. So buying a home was another thing, and I think that also adds to my general fulfillment and happiness. Like this phase of my life has been my favorite. They say your 30s is where everything changes.
It's true.
But yeah, it's been the 30th year was this like amazing time. We bought the house, and it was so extremely fulfilling. Of course, stressful. I'll tell anybody that. But if you have the opportunity to buy a house, and mind you, we did like a full renovation, but we didn't like tear down walls to the floor. Like that would be the next level if you really want to do like a full thing. And then for that, you have to just like triple the time, you know?
Yeah.
But being able to do what I would call like a really elevated facelift made such a difference. And it really helped me flex that muscle. And I always tell Chino, I'm like, this has been a great investment into my business.
Oh, 100%.
Because so many of these videos have gone viral.
Yeah.
They've reached so many people, and I've been able to really, like I said, flex that muscle that I feel like for so many years I've been like in the beauty and fashion space, and now being able to combine like my love of DIY but also interiors has been incredible, you know. And my sister does interiors. My sister's an architect. She's GC. She does interiors. As you know, we've chatted before about that. And she's in that world. So being able to collaborate on that as well has been awesome.
Your before and afters, your reel that you have, this is the house we bought versus the house we made, is honestly, it's incredible. The marble you have in your kitchen is nuts.
That marble, oh my gosh.
What's the process of even picking out marble? I feel like that's such an adult like thing to do. Like, I'm gonna go buy marble. What was the process like?
Well, first of all, it's shocking, and it slaps you in the face when you look at prices.
I'm sure you're like, what?
It slaps you in the face. And this was something that I had to kind of like remind myself, this is what you've saved for.
Yeah.
Because there's something, I guess like it discourages you a little bit if you're not used to spending huge amounts of money and using what's in your savings account.
Yeah.
That's kind of stressful. This was my biggest purchase I've ever made. You know, obviously we've done shopping before, so like, you know, you'll buy something expensive here and there, but this was like the biggest expense. And I had to tell myself, this isn't the same thing as buying a handbag, you know. You're really like investing in your home.
Yeah.
So the process is crazy, but it's awesome. And when it came to this particular marble, I was like, okay, don't be basic. And you could see why people, and no hate to anybody who goes like really simple, but you could see why so many people go the safe route because, and mind you, I made a lot of safe choices.
Yeah.
It's so much money.
So overwhelming. And
And it's so overwhelming. And also, if you think of selling it, if you go the safe route that everybody loves this particular stone, no one's going to look at it and be like, not into it. There's a chance someone goes to my house if I go to sell it and they say like, I like the marble, but it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, there's that chance, you know? But for me, I prefer to, like, feel something every time I went in there than to know I played it safe.
Yeah, of course.
So I went a little bit, I would say, a little bit out of the box. It has some purple veining, some, like, green specks. Like, there's a lot of variation in it. But for me, I was like, this is going to be the focal point. So, like, let's do it.
I love your home style because when Ivan and I were searching for houses to see if we could even find a house fast enough for this insane move that we just went through,
Which I want to hear about.
Good Lord. Yeah, we need to discuss because that was honestly the craziest moment of our lives and my life by far. But we were looking at houses, and every house that we looked at, it was like bright white marble. Everything was white. And I kept telling Ivan, I was like, I hate this. And he was like, oh, it's so clean. And I was like,
I know.
It just, we've lost character in everything as a society. There is no, even today I saw a PDF guide that was for sale for $4.99, and it was the best text messages that you can send to a guy to always be like funny and flirty. And I was like,
Wait.
is this real life? No. I swiped up. I was invested. I was like, what is this?
This is a PDF.
And there was like 2,000 something reviews. So just imagine, they usually say like the amount of reviews you get is like a tenth of what you actually have sold, right? So 2,000 reviews. No. I mean,
that's crazy.
And then I'm thinking to myself, like, this eventually is going to get around. There's going to be guys that are like, wait, I've had this exact text before. I'm just like, wait, this is insane. And yeah, I feel like we're starting to turn to AI for too many things, like we talked about. When people send me emails and they used ChatGPT, I'm like, you guys know that a person that actively uses AI, because for Casa, we've incorporated AI into so many different things.
As you should, yeah.
So you have now been able to pick up like people who don't pay for like the professional grade chat and they just use the basis. There's specific words and stuff that they use. And I even see it in influencers' captions. And I'm like,
oh my God, what are some of the tells? I want to know because I do use it sometimes. Not for everything. Because
there's specific verbiage chat uses. If I read it, I can point it out to you so easily. But they pick specific words that make it like it's almost like too easy to tell. I wish I was like able to. I'm gonna get a clip for you, and then we'll do it on the camera so I can show you. It's insane though, and I was never able to pick it up, and I was using it too. And then I started seeing other like captions and stuff, and I was like, damn, this is like very similar to what I was using. So I took a course on how to use ChatGPT.
Smart.
There's courses, 2 to 3 day long courses. Chat is like a giant onion and you like layer. So you're supposed to use it to think for you. So everyone uses it for like basics, like come up with a caption for me. Like, no, you should tell chat your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal with your IG account, what you see it as a whole. If you want to have a t-shirt company one day, whatever the case is. And then you tell chat, can you make me a business plan building backwards to my end goal? And then you say, can you give me a timeline for this goal? Can you break it down to a year? Can you break it down to 30 days? Can you give me caption ideas for this? So that like chat is now giving you captions that structure just for you and your content and what you need.
That's awesome.
Crazy, right? So anyway, when I was looking at the houses with Ivan, I had just noticed every furniture piece was the same. Like every single furniture that was set up, I was like, it's the same. The handles are the same, the faucets, the bathrooms, the mirrors. I was like, there's no character anymore. That was the beauty of searching for a home. And even like the windows and everything with like now everybody wants the tempered glass. I get it, but it's lost like the old character that used to be so beautiful. And then I see like, oh, the last guy that we saw his house, he goes, oh, this is how bad it looked before. And it was
you liked it way
beautiful, like Spanish tile on the floor, like a stained glass, like artwork that was done in one of the windows. The kitchen had like light wood with like a really, 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 really cool marble countertop.
Okay, so I was basically like, my worst nightmare.
So you destroyed the house. Like I was like, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, it was so sad. And he put everything bright white, and the marble that he chose was like this bright white marble with like a very distinctive gold vein running through all of it.
Yeah, probably like a quartzite or something.
Yeah, I was like, great. So we didn't find any house, and Ivan thought I was crazy, but I was like, I'm not gonna buy a new house to then redo it to make it look old again, or like not old, but at least have character. 100%. I'd rather buy an older house.
It's really hard to add in retroactively.
It is, and the also Spanish tile and all those tiles that actually have character are really expensive. So I'm like, this just doesn't make any sense. And I told him we're renting until we come to an agreement on whatever we like. And so now I've been showing him houses that we both are kind of like, okay, we agree on this. But
if you found a house, would you be able to get out of here quick enough, or how does that work?
To be honest, so we talked about that. The policy here is not bad. You pay 2 months rent if you want to leave. And I was like, done. But we also talked about it, and I was like, I think that I really want to do investment properties before we get into a house. And Ivan agreed on it too, because I feel like once we get a house, that's it. We're going to put all of our money into it. Like, we just are those people, you know? And with kids already, especially, we can't be living in a house that like isn't updated, because imagine with 2 kids running around and driving us crazy.
That's a Chino's goal to really do. When we first met, he had just bought a duplex. So he has a duplex that he like rents out, and then we bought our house. So he's like, okay, so when can we get the next property? One. Like that's what he wants to focus on. And I said, honestly, selfishly, I wanted our house to be like on that timeline. So now that we have that, I'm like, okay, like now we could throw money back into the investments.
Yeah.
But it's hard because we were renting like a little apartment. He moved into my apartment. It wasn't big enough for us. And I'm sure you guys with kids now, you're like, okay, we need like space.
Yeah.
So now I feel like we'll go backwards and focus on the investment properties, which I feel like is so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not emotion in it.
No, there isn't. It's like if you don't get it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
So it's not as
You're not gonna live there.
heartbreaking.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not as heartbreaking. How many houses had you guys, like, I guess, made an offer on until you finally got to this house where you got, like, approved and the process?
So this was only
all
our
you?
second house that we put an offer on.
You guys were lucky.
We were lucky.
It was yours.
It was meant to be. So it's funny because the first house, we were kind of looking loosely, but not like aggressively. Like it wasn't like we're with a realtor looking every weekend kind of thing. And I have friends who are realtors, so like they'll be annoyed at this.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how we got our house.
Okay.
So I literally was getting a facial. I remember this. And my godmother, she's like the jack of all trades. So she always has like her hand in Zillow. Mind you, she's not buying a house right now. She's just like on Zillow and she's like, oh, by the way, like this house popped up in the neighborhood you like within your price range. So she sent it to me, right? And I was like, wow, house looks good, but it's been on the market like 3 months. To me, red flag alert. Like, why are you on the market?
Why is it not selling?
And it's underpriced.
Yep.
So I was like, immediately, I'm like, this is a scam. There's something going on here, whatever. She's like, just call the number on the agent, on the agent on the listing. So I call the number, and he's like, hi, yeah, like you could see it tonight. Mind you, tonight, like at night. At this point, it's like noon.
Yeah.
You could see it tonight. We already have 17 offers. Okay, I'm like, why am
I hate when people do that.
I'm like, why am I going to go see it? Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, I don't want to waste my time. And he goes, just come. So I was like, okay, like I'll go.
Yeah.
So I go with my sister. Gino was working. He's like, I can't go see it. Like, whatever. Like, chances are this is a scam. Like, whatever. So I go with my sister. And we walk in. It's literally 7 p.m. The house is pitch black. There's like one little like rinky-dinky light bulb lighting up this place.
Oh my gosh.
It's dark. Like I've posted our walkthrough, and I was like, I needed a flashlight to look through the house.
Yeah.
All I see is like, okay, I'm like, okay, check, like natural wood floors, like perfect, whatever. Looking around, I'm like, okay, has the kind of rooms we want, like we're okay. So we look at the house. I'm like, man, I really like it. I asked the guy, I'm like, what about these 17 offers? And he's like, well, this house was in a guardianship, which means I didn't know what it was, but it goes to the courts.
Drago, no.
He's like, can I chat?
Drago, your dad's gonna be so upset. Tell me.
So the house was in the hands of the court system. Basically, they were selling it for, this older woman who no longer could take care of the house. She's still alive, so she's fine, but she couldn't like take care of the house anymore. It's so funny. He's like, can I hear? So basically, he said there were 17 offers. If we wanted to put an offer.
Coffee with Drago.
Yeah, seriously.
Pasu cama. Bed. All right,
Okay.
bed there. At least lay down. Good boy. Lay down. Ivan's going to kill me when he sees this. He's going to be like, you left him on the rug. So the little old lady, the courts were taking care of
They
her.
were taking care of the house. So he's like, there's 17 offers. If you want to put an offer, you have to put one in by 9 a.m. It's 7 p.m. the night before.
Oh my gosh.
Mind you, I'm here with my sister. My sister's there like egging me on, like, do it, put an offer. I'm like, okay, but you know how many, we weren't even pre-approved yet. You know how many hoops you have to jump through?
To do the pre-approval process and
to
everything?
get the pre-approval.
Yeah,
So he's like, do you have an agent? We didn't have an agent at the time. So I call my dad. My dad has been investing in properties for a million years. I call him and he's like, walk back inside and hire that guy. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, hire the listing agent. So I was like, okay, good idea. So I go
he's going to push to get it closed. Yeah.
So I go in and I'm like, hi, I'd like to formally, is this a conflict of interest? He's like, no, of course. And he's like, yes,
Yeah.
of course
He's
not.
like, of course I can double dip.
Yeah. He's like, okay. I'm like, okay, we're hiring you.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped us write that offer. So of course he's not closing his own deadline.
No.
So that was the only way that we got it. We called one of our friends who helped us with the mortgage. He's awesome. Like he worked overtime. He's like, are you guys serious about this? Cause I'm going to like step away from my kids. Like tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
make
yes.
sure.
And he's like, okay, I'll do it. And he did it. And they pushed for our offer.
Uh-huh.
And we got the house. And mind you, the day that Chino saw it was when we were closing. He never saw the house. He just trusted, like, he's like, I trust you.
That's insane. The
Insane.
pre-approval process, was it like crazy, or was it actually not as bad as
Well,
you
it's
thought?
just like basically it feels like you're standing naked in front of someone because they know everything about
everything about you.
Everything about you. Like,
Yeah.
even like, oh my God, like they could see like what I spend money on. Like I went to Zara like 5 times this month. Like
Everything.
they see everything.
Yeah.
But that's how it has to be. You have to just trust him. That's why it's important to go to someone you trust. And we really trusted him. He's a friend of ours. He's still a friend of ours. And that's how we did it. We pushed for everything, and then we got the house, and
That's
it was
amazing.
time to renovate, which wasn't even really our plan. You know, we had to like scrape up all our money together and make it happen.
Make it happen. And when Chino saw it, was he actually like, I love it? Or was he a little like worried with how much work was needed?
Well, he's like, love it, because we really were adamant on our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So he loved it for that. But it's like an older house. Like the rooms are small, the bathrooms are small. But I was like, I don't care about small rooms. I want large living space and a large kitchen. Like that's more important for me, because people come over and everybody's congregated there. And it had this like hidden gem of a massive 2-car garage that looks like a warehouse. Like the ceilings are super high. So we're like, okay, this is going to become like our master suite. We'll add in a bedroom and an extra bathroom here eventually. We haven't done that yet.
Super smart.
That's our plan. But yeah, at first he was like, whoa, like this is a lot of work. But my sister and I are like, oh, this is nothing. Like we got this.
Yeah.
We got this.
Yeah.
He also was really big on the backyard, and the backyard was a jungle. There was like these overgrown trees that you couldn't see the house. That's why it was extra dark.
Yeah.
When we went to go see it.
Yeah.
And during the day, it was still dark. That's how many like trees were overgrown.
Yeah.
That he was scared about that. But we just had like a team come in and they just chopped. I'm like, just start from scratch. Like chop everything.
Chop
They're like,
it
oh,
off.
you don't want that? I'm like, everything. Leave me the 2 palm trees that are like full grown palm trees. Everything else,
Take out.
Wipe it.
Wow, that's insane. You know, I'm like a really, really big fan of overgrowth with trees.
Me too.
With the last house that we were in when I was pregnant, they had to cut down like a part of the tree. And I was like, no. Like I lost it. And they were like, no, we have to cut down this out. But it was
It's
like
like
a
a safety
massive
thing.
tree.
I
Yeah.
know.
And I was like, no, it's beautiful. I love the way that it looks. Okay, so they came because obviously we have no say. We didn't own the house, right? So they come and they were cutting it, and I started sobbing. Like I couldn't stop crying. And Ivan was like, babe, seriously, we're crying over a tree. I was like, you don't understand. Like I was like, the trees, it's so special when you do see them. But I'm happy you at least kept the palm trees.
And Chino works in insurance. I think Ivan also works in insurance,
Yeah.
right? He's like, I see
This
this
is
all
the
the time.
worst.
He's like,
It's
you
the
cannot
worst.
have a tree
No.
like laying on your roof,
No.
essentially.
Yes.
Also, we were doing the roof, and they're like, we can't access it. Okay, there's like a tree laying on top of it, basically. And to me, I love the trees, but I'm like, don't block my windows. So like, it was so dark in
yeah.
the house. I was like,
No, you need light. Yeah.
I need light.
Yeah.
So now we're in the process of, it's funny, you rip everything out to like start again.
To start it.
So we planted a bunch of trees to get that hedge going. So a lot of stuff is happening, but it's a process. It's
And your
always
backyard
something.
is insane.
Oh my God, thank
Ivan's
you.
obsessed with the pergola. He's
Yeah,
like,
the
baby,
pergola
look at
was
their
the
backyard.
best. Shout out to Atlantic Awnings.
Okay.
They are amazing. They're a Miami-based
that.
company. And it started because she was a follower of mine, and she reached out to me like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on a pergola? I'm like, goals. Like, we've wanted a pergola, but we were like, let's finish everything inside first. And they did such a great job, especially like in Miami. Nobody wants to do anything with permits. She's like, I got it. She took care of all the permits, Miami-Dade County, like all that stuff. She did it.
Amazing.
So that, to me, the hands-off aspect of it was awesome.
I feel like you got really lucky because all of your stuff with the house seems like the process was pretty smooth.
Yeah.
And most people that do home renovations, they have so many issues. Like my sister was updating her bathroom. She paid the guy and then he just didn't come back the next week. So like she was like, oh, okay. And her husband had paid the guy in full. And so I'm like, wow, great. Like now what are you guys going to do? So she had to have somebody else come in, and it's kind
Did
of
she
like...
ever recoup that money?
No, she never recouped that money. Yeah. Well, I feel like last year was the year that everyone was just like getting away with like the scams. I don't know what it was last
I
year
know.
with homes, with businesses, with everything, because I got like just wiped last year in bad business decision after bad business decision, and it all came down to me just trusting people.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, now I have no problem in saying, hey, I don't trust you. Like, no, I'm not sending the money up front. Like, I will send a deposit, and then when the work is completed, I'll send the remainder, because now I don't trust anybody.
That's how I am now.
Yeah.
Which is like, in an extent, it's kind of a skeptical about that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what happened to us. So it's funny. Chino's very trusting. And the same thing happened. There was a guy coming in to do a job, and I see the guy. He's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Obviously in Spanish, te veo mañana. And Chino's like, what's your Venmo? He's about to Venmo this guy. Like thousands.
No.
And then the Venmo, for some reason, it was like, no, it was Zelle. Zelle was giving him a hiccup. It was like, oh, reconfirm. And it wasn't like confirming. And in my head, I'm like, this is God. So I literally jump in, and Chino's like, oh my God, all these workers hate you because I'm the crazy one. He's the one that they're friends with. I'm the one that's. Yeah. So I come in and I'm like, te pago mañana cuando te veo. Like, I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And by some miracle of God, as the guy was going to come tomorrow, the original guy we wanted to hire who hadn't answered us, which he had come recommended, so I always like to work through a recommendation.
Of course.
Had come recommended, calls us back, and he's like, hey, my phone wasn't working. I'd love to do the job. Half the price of the guy that we were about to Zelle.
Oh my God.
So I was like, you know what? I'm straight up. I told the guy, hey.
It's about money.
I told the guy, sorry. And he was like so annoyed. Of course.
But do you know that I tell Ivan that all the time because I know Ivan is probably like Chino, where he's like, oh my God, babe, this is embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, but I always tell him, I go, what is embarrassing?
I don't get embarrassed about anything.
Does that man pay our bills? I'm sorry. Does he pay the lights in this house? Does he pay, what is the thing? And also I tell him like, you're not innocent, but you are innocent, because there's things when we left this house that caused us, honestly, Laura, it was like a nightmare. I have never dealt with such
Okay, Todd, BS. Ivan to get on the pod. I need to hear this story.
Ivan needs to get on this podcast and we need to hear it. Let me tell you something, okay?
Send him this clip.
I'll give you a brief breakdown of what we were paying just so that you can imagine, because I know some people are like, oh my God, like she's going to talk about money. No, I want to talk about money because people should understand how much it was to have a house. It was a 5-bedroom house. It was huge. It was beautiful. We loved it. Gorgeous, giant, not in our ideal area, but we gave up the area for space and size, but we were paying just under $7,000 a month for that house. You would expect that house to rent. You would expect that house to be like amazing. Now, granted, we closed the warehouse. We were getting ready to have a baby.
I know. I wanted to hear about the warehouse too.
Yeah, we only had like a month and a half to really look for a property because our lease was coming up and we had just found out we were pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, we got to scramble. But we were spending 2 weeks in California. So we weren't going to have time by the time we came back. Whatever. We had seen 20 properties and I was just like, this is crazy. I was like, we're also going to be spending the price that we spend rent plus the warehouse. So I was like, if we close the warehouse, then I don't have to be at a place every day, which is ideal when you're having a newborn. Now we can move into this house. I had an office space because it's 5 bedrooms. The nanny had a bedroom because we had somebody that was coming on a work visa to help take care of the baby. And then Ivan had his space. Both kids had a room. I was like, you know what? We actually could like save money here. And I didn't have to pay for studio or anything because we had the space now. So we did it with intention. We weren't just purposely just like throwing money into something, you know? We move in there and I know Ivan's dying to tell the story because this is like his world, but we started noticing stuff that I was like, was that yellow stain in the roof like always here? And he was like, no, that's so weird. And then we had like a bug infestation happening for like 2.5 months. They came, they were like taking away the bugs. Then they said, oh, the bug infestation thing is because of the stupid tree. They cut down this big tree. Now I'm like sad because I'm like, great, now we're staring into our neighbor's house, which from the master bedroom upstairs. So not ideal, right? And then I kept feeling like maybe we're just being bratty. Like we need to be really grateful. This is a big piece of property. It's a beautiful home. Let's enjoy being here and like stay put. But something kept telling me like, this isn't our home. And I don't know what it was, but we moved in like end of May. And by July, I was wanting to leave. Something kept telling me, I was like, I don't want to be here. I've never felt that with a property before. Ivy's bedroom had a little like thingy over her bed. You know, like the little like thingies. Okay.
I think they're called like a mobile.
2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, it would go off all the time. So Jess Osuna, when she sees this, she's going to laugh. She came over to my house and I was like,
this thing is spinning on its own?
It just starts out of nowhere, just spins on its own.
Oh, no.
So Jess was like, Carly, have you heard about the story about the haunted house and blah, blah, blah? And I was like, don't F with me, Jess. Like, I will literally freak out because Ivan leaves me. That was something that I never thought about either. Is in our Pinecrest house, we had this giant gate. We were so secluded. It was a beautiful piece of property. Now we're like in a community where like our neighbors are really close. I don't know who these people are. I was like, scared. It's such a big home. If I heard a noise downstairs, forget it. I would like get the kids and put them in the master and lock us like up. It's terrifying. So yes, the little thingy over her crib used to go off. Ivan, one morning, it was 3 a.m., gets so pissed, and he goes and unscrews it, and he like tosses it in the closet because he was just like over it.
How did you know that it was, like the baby camera was telling you like there's
You could hear it because the baby's room was here, our room was here, and then there was one night where I was rocking her and I heard it, and I was like, that's creepy. So I was like, I'm not gonna think anything of it. It would just go off. But if you grabbed the thing and you like shook it or anything, it wouldn't go off. So it was so weird. I know. So I'm like, I'm not gonna pay attention to it. He throws it. Another night goes by and I start hearing a little like chime coming from her room, and I was like, this is,
and at this point it's not like,
because I'm like, is it the little thingy that goes over the top? So I go in her room because Ivan took it off and threw it in the closet. So I'm like, I'm going to throw it in the trash can now at this point. Except it was her Winnie the Pooh teddy bear that was on her little crib. So I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, no.
I was like, I don't know what it is. Like, I was like, this is weird. But something kept taking us to this room. Come July, I close a door that I had never closed or opened before. It was a pocket door. So like, I just left it in the pocket. And I pull it, I open it, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It was just from the base of the door to the top covered in mold. And I was like, no. So I messaged the property manager, like, can we get this fixed? What can we do? The guy comes out, he just wipes the door with a rag and then
that
left
means that there was mold in the wall.
So I'm like, this is so
where
weird.
Where your baby is sleeping.
Laura. I start seeing the yellow stains pop up everywhere. This is Ivan's job. So Ivan starts getting a little hardcore because he was like, hey, like, I need people to come and look at this. Something's going on. And he was looking on the roof and he was seeing broken tiles. Like, you could see it out the windows. He didn't have to go to the roof. You can literally look out, see the roof, broken tiles, whatever. The property manager is giving us runaround, and I'll let Ivan get deeper in the story, but we left because I wrote a demand letter that basically it was breach of Florida law, which it is. We left, and now they were saying technically because we broke the lease, they're not giving us our deposit back. But we didn't break the lease. We're leaving for like the safety of our family and our children and everything because we have a newborn.
They're not upholding their end of the lease.
Of course. So I even told Ivan, I was like, remember what I told you? Like sometimes innocence, right? I told Ivan, I said, get a mold company out here and have them test the quality. And he was like, babe, you know how much money that costs? I was like, I don't care. We need to have our own backup that shows that we did our part of the process. Now, if the mold company comes out here, they do the testing and there's no mold, it's just like physical that you can see it on this one thing. No. It was over like 50 something. So I don't even know what it is. We did it. Over 50 something in the air quality in this hallway and in the upstairs area in the kids' room specifically, both kids' rooms. And they were saying that a remediation needed to be done for like 2 feet of the wall to the left and right side of the door. I was like, we're out. We're out. And the agreement was...
And also at the cost of your rent is probably a super high security deposit.
Super high. And we had leak issues. We had so many things. Like, we didn't have hot water for more than 10 minutes in this house. And I'm like, this is the most money I've ever spent in my life to rent a property. And it's the biggest headache in the world. I was like, this has been the biggest learning lesson. Bigger is not always better. I would have almost have rather rented a smaller place, like how we have an apartment now, and had an office space the whole time, or I don't know what, or just stayed home, like how I'm doing now. So we had 3 weeks. That was the agreement. We had to be out by like the 23rd of January. And we came to an agreement that, yes, we were leaving by January like 8th. So we had no time to leave. And this was the only place that we could find in time. And it was crazy. But I feel like that little spinning thing and the chime that kept going off was like somebody telling me to like check her room. Wow. And it was in the baby's room where it had most of the stains starting to appear in the wall. And it was in Ivy's room specifically. I mean, we had to get rid of all the stuff in her room. That was the one room that I didn't sell anything from, any of the baby stuff. For Mav's room, we sold his bed frame. We threw away his mattress. And then downstairs, everything was safe.
Yeah.
So I was like, just sell all of this, and if we have to pay a company, whatever. But I sat down with Ivan and I was like, okay, if we dial back and spend like half on an apartment, we have this amount of money to put in investments, and then that money can bring us like cash flow monthly. And this is financially the smartest thing to do. And also being able to hire like Francisco, obviously. Yeah. So Francisco is now like my new like buddy forever. And he does all my filming unlimited. So he's going to be shooting for like everything we do. Like if we have an outing or dinner, vacation, whatever, Francisco's now a part of the family.
Nice.
So I was able to like invest in a full-time videographer, able to invest in like, okay, now we're looking for properties so that we can maybe do Section 8 is something we've been looking into.
Yeah, that's what Chino's duplex is Section 8.
Amazing.
He loves it.
Dude, tell Chino, call us.
I will.
Because I have questions for days.
And because my dad has been doing Section 8 for a million years. Like, I'm just like, oh, like rent it. He's like, you don't understand the quality of people in Miami. Section 8.
So true, Section 8.
So that Chino's duplex is Section 8, and he's had a really great experience with it.
Amazing. I've heard that the government, like if you act up in a Section 8 property, you can get reported, and then the government doesn't pay you like the portion that they're supposed to anymore. So most people that are Section 8 are actually like gentle people, and they take care of the property, and they're also like more respectful than just regular people renting, which I could definitely see.
I'm not sure entirely like the nitty-gritty like that. I know that my dad particularly has had some experiences with like some Section 8 tenants being like, you know, really messy or whatever. Same thing as if it were not Section 8.
Not Section 8.
So just as anybody, there's obviously tenants like here and out, but what's really great is that you're not worried about collecting payment. Like a lot of times there's issues with people, and it's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to pay because of this reason. And because of Florida squatter laws, like it's very complicated. And I don't want any like lawyers to come for me saying that don't quote me. But yes, they really protect people. So it's very difficult if you own a property and people aren't paying to get them out. It's a really long drawn out process. Section 8 really guarantees that. And it is a government program. So it does really help. And they also do rent increases. So like Chino didn't even apply, and they sent a letter like, oh, property value's up, rent's going up. We're paying you more.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you have any questions, let us know.
Yeah, I will. I think that confirms like where Ivan and I are going. That was just the one thing that I said. I'm like, now we have 2 kids. I'm 31 next week.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that insane?
It's insane.
So I was like, I feel like we just need to be adults. It's very like the life we have where both of us are entrepreneurs and we both have done our own thing. This year I'll be 8 years with Casa, which is crazy. So I'm like, wow, for 8 years I haven't had to like report someplace, or I haven't had consistent income.
You can never go back.
Oh my God, what? So last year when I did the video that we had lost 6 figures in 2 months, true story.
That's crazy.
I was dead. Like I was with Ivan in the shower, and I just started sobbing.
Oh.
And he was like, what's going on right now? Talk to me. And I was like, I think I have to close Casa. And he was like, what? And I was like, yes, and there's a job. I'm going to apply to it, because I obviously came from Lexus selling cars. I can just always go back to that and be a finance manager again. And he was like, okay. We're having a hard time right now. He's like, this is crazy talk. And I was like, no, like I can't imagine. We just need to go back to consistent income, or maybe I keep Casa open and I do this on the side. And he literally, this is like why it's so important to have a good partner. He told me to just take a deep breath, not talk anymore. He's like, turn around. He got the loofah. He was like scrubbing my body. And then he goes, go get dressed. We're going on a walk. And he took me out of the house. We went on a walk. I calmed down.
Fresh air and endorphins will do wonders. And
he was like maybe let's just go to bed early today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And then by the next day, I had came up with the idea of consulting. And it came out of me because I had said, like, I wish there was someone I could talk to about the experience that I went through, and the people when they were making these offers to me, and somebody to pick up, like, hey, you're about to get raped. Like, do not go into this. This is a very bad deal. And there was no one that could guide me or I could just talk to and run things past. And I was like, why do they not have like a consultant that just does this? Like, I don't need somebody to stick with me monthly. I just want to make a 1-hour call. I have a ton of questions. How do I grow my business? How do I get from this size to this size? And Ivan was like, okay, that's something. I called my friend Connor, and I told Connor, I think I want to get into consulting. Like, is there somebody I could work for? And he was like, yeah, yourself.
Ooh.
And then I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, yeah, why don't you just do it? I was like, yeah, I could like write a book about it. He was like, okay, write a book. And then I was like, let me call you back. And then like in 3 weeks I had the book done and everything. Cause I was just like, I know I can help people, and like we have at this point helped so many people that it has been like a blessing in disguise. But yeah, losing the money of it, I just realized I was like,
And what would you say? I watched your video, but I'm more wondering, how do you think that actually happened? Was it a result of just like trusting the wrong people?
I trusted the wrong people. Now we're doing like a big girl branding for Casa. I've been trying to do like a complete branding renovation with Casa since last year.
Which you've done a good job about.
Well, since last year, we've been working on it. Yeah. And there was a girl who was a freelancer. I felt like I could trust her. She talked the talk. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean,
to rebrand Casa.
Yes, and I'm in sales. Like she was like, oh, I'm gonna do this photo shoot. Like it's gonna cost. It was like $3,000-$4,000 to do this Casa photo shoot. Mind you, I've done a lot of shoots. It's never costed me $3,000 or $4,000. It was like not what I was thinking at all. I was so unhappy when I saw the stuff. And then when it came to branding, she was like,
going to do photos, branding, the whole thing. So then that's how it totaled up to 6 figures because it was such a big job.
Well, $4,000 was just a photo shoot. The rebranding itself was like another $3,000.
So then how did this all add up to?
Oh my gosh. So on top of her and the amount that I was paying her, which I should have known that she was not a fit for Casa because she was thinking that we removed the house icon, which I have wanted to do forever. And I'm like, the house isn't fitting. I'm thinking I want to do a cherub because hello, Casa Carly, angels, like I need a cherub. She was like, I got it. It's like the best idea ever. And she said, a little swirl. And I was like, I should have known.
Okay.
I was like,
are you listening?
Yeah. I was like, okay. I should have known. Anyway, so yeah, it added up to her, a marketing company that I was working with at the time. I was paying the marketing company $8,000 a month for like everyone that was a part of it. Just to run marketing for Casa was $800 to $8,500 a month. Okay. On top of that, we were spending probably like $25,000-$30,000 in ads on Instagram and Meta.
Were you seeing the ROI?
No. So we were converting at a 2-to-1. Sometimes it was like close to a 3-to-1, which you're spending $20,000, you're getting back $40,000. This makes sense. I kept wondering like, hey, I feel like the bank account is becoming lower and lower and lower. This is very weird. And I kept trying to see like, what am I doing wrong? I was like, what are we overspending on? Like, we haven't done anything that's crazy besides this like rebranding thing that's $8,000, but that doesn't add up to 6 figures. So where is the money going? I talked to marketing and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think that the money's coming in. And they say, basically guiding me towards, if we took out a loan, this is where you get fucked. If we took out a loan, they would be able to take that money and use it for ads and then give me back the 2-to-1 on it. Stupid Carly hadn't done the math to see that 2-to-1 wasn't sufficient enough for the company. Our ads need to convert at like a 3.5, 4-ish for it to be profitable. By the time we pay for the product, which is not cheap because it's gold filled and made in Brazil, it's not China, and it's not stainless steel plated, which is like very inexpensive. So by the time we pay the product, the packaging and materials, the fulfillment center, and the people who are working internally in Casa.
Yeah, they were comparing like a baseline, but it's not, there's 100 things that go into it.
Right, it's 2-to-1 on the actual ad spend, but that's not, it doesn't cover any of the actual nitty gritty of what you're putting out to cover that. Plus, here's where I was getting effed. The marketing team is costing me $8,500. So you have $20,000, right, that you just got back. Almost $9,000 is now already ate up. So now with the remainder, by the time you put cost, packaging, shipping, all of that into it, that profit's gone.
And they just want you to keep like footing the bill.
What they want is for you to feel like you need them to keep running ads so that you're just stuck staying with them. So they took my $50,000 loan, threw it into Facebook like this, and then the next month, all of it was gone. And because it was 2-to-1, I red zoned with the company, and now I owed back the $50,000. I now had to pull from savings to pay the $9,000 for the marketing team. I had to pay the $9,000, and I was like, wait. So I started like losing my mind. I'm like, what do I do? I go looking for another marketing company. Maybe they can help me. I find this guy. He's like a sweetheart. He's like, oh my God, these people, like they F you all the time. This is exactly how you get trapped in it. So I'm like, this guy knows what's going on. I'm going to trust him, like whatever. And Ivan was like, babe, if you feel like he could help you make the leap, because you're kind of like effed right now. So I pull like 20 grand from savings. And I tell him, hey, use this for ads, dial back on ads, whatever the case is. He's like, hey, I'm gonna do it for you this month for like $4,500. And then we'll take a percentage of your profit, whatever. Wrong. I signed the contract like this. Because I'm like, I trust this guy. He knows what a bad position I'm in. He would never purposely like, F me over.
How'd you find this guy?
A long time ago, it was like a year prior, I had interviewed him, but I went with the other marketing companies, so I just kind of kept him in my contacts.
Yeah, of course. So
he basically tells me all the things he's going to do.
Down.
Kicked me while I was down. Murdered me while I was down. The ads convert, again, 2-to-1, but then now when he sends me the bill for like the $4,500, he then says that he wants, what it is 20%, not of profit, of every dollar sold. So if I'm at a 2-to-1 and I'm red zoning at 2-to-1, now I have to lose $4,500 to pay this guy. Now I'm also losing 20% of the money that I just sold. Oh, I wrote this guy a message like, monster, you're a monster. Yes, I'm stupid because I should have read the contracts, and lesson learned that you have to go through the nitty gritty because the contract he sent me was 120 pages long. Do you think I'm gonna read that? So no. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And I just got ate up like this. Chomp, chomp, chomp. The last girl that ruined it all for me, she told me she was going to get my pieces in Nordstrom. I gave her like $4,000 worth of samples, and I paid her a couple $1,000s to go be a brown rep for Casa. And mind you, she's been in business with her company 10 years, came recommended from a neighbor. I never heard from her again.
Wait, what did you tell her?
She didn't die. I know that because at one point I was like, she died. And I was like, that's the only way I'm going to feel okay about this is that she's dead somewhere. And no, this little old lady, something in my gut told me something was off when I saw her because her phone was shattered and the whole back plate was missing. And she was driving a very, very like broken down Kia. And I had told Ivan, I was like, something's off. And he goes, babe, you're judging a book by its cover. I was like, no, I've done sales since I'm 14 years old. Somebody who makes like, according to her, like $400,000 a year in commission is not going to be with a broken cell phone, because your cell phone in a business, in a meeting room that's shattered with the back missing is embarrassing. You're talking to Nordstrom and Saks. I was like, something's up.
That's so true.
Something's up.
It's part of being presentable.
It's part of it. And
at least the phone, like a car I could maybe understand, but I agree with you.
Even then, because you're coming to meet me for a meeting.
It's true.
And you don't care about the presentation of the vehicle. Even real estate agents are very, very careful about the cars they drive and how they look, whatever. Ivan's like, you know what, babe, you spent thousands on worse shit this year. You should probably just give this a shot. Imagine in the first sale with Nordstrom, whatever. Laura, she, just so everyone sees this, she disappeared and she effed me. Like, effed me. Effed me. I didn't get my samples back, and I started like sending the messages to this lady like, hello, like I haven't heard anything back, whatever.
Yeah, keep your feed, give me my sample. Like, what did she do with it? Is she just like wearing Casa every day? Probably. She's probably your biggest fan.
Probably she's out there like, dude, Laura, I got so effed in that, and she did right back to me like a couple months later. She was like, oh, I will send you back your deposit that you paid to me. And then one day I threatened to like get an attorney involved, so she sent me $1,000. And then that was it. I never got the rest of my money or even my samples, which is the easiest thing to do.
So did she even have contacts at Nordstrom?
No. I did look deeper into her company though. Again, I trusted that my neighbor's recommendation would be a good one. No, she does have a great reputation selling sex toys to gas stations. Yes. Like condoms, sex toys, lubes and stuff like that. And then vape pens. Amazing. I was like, oh, Casa's perfect.
What a fit.
Yeah, it's a bit like, I just don't know what happened last year, but I got burned in those 2 months, and then that was it. I mean, obviously you just feel like you want to give up, And I almost did. I almost went back and was like, I'm going to do it full time. And then Ivan picked me up and was like, you are going to be a big girl. Like, he shook me up and he's like, go get him, Tiger. Man. Yeah. I had raccoon eyes, a newborn baby, okay, that I was getting ready to have. I think I was like a month out from having her, and I was dealing with this, 9 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. Which, by the way, when you get to the time where you're having kids and you're doing entrepreneur, you hear Maverick watching Sonic in the room.
So cute.
So yeah, that was a crazy year.
But now I feel like you're so resilient, anything that comes your way, you're like, come at me.
I told Yadi, do you know Yadi, that she does the baking, Divine Sweets?
Oh, I've had Divine Sweets before.
Okay, so I told Yadi, I was like, our companies have made it through COVID and 2024. And at this point, that says a lot, because 2024 was a bad year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really hard.
We just did it. I feel like we could sit here and talk forever.
I know.
About stuff. I feel like I talk too much. I was supposed to be here talking to Laura, and I'm like pushing her to...
No, but it's absolutely true. It's crazy, honestly. There's just so much that when you overcome all of the adversity, you realize, wow, like I could really take on anything. And having a good support system.
What was your moment now that you've realized, like, I have made it and I'm never going back because I have got through XYZ? Like, what was your moment where you realized, like, this is it? I'm not going back.
So I feel like at this point in time, I don't really imagine myself ever going back to a traditional work structure. However, never say never. Like, the influencer industry is so fickle that we'll see where it goes. However, I tell myself, like, I have my degree to fall back on. I have a lot of work experience, and just knowing that a lot of my skills are transferable depending on what I want to do in the future. But I really like being in charge. So I just think that I would shift into something more like real estate related or whatever, to kind of put the interiors in that direction. But right now, like, I'm really enjoying this. I've had, like, 2024, you said it was a hard year, but for me, it was really transformative professionally for me. I saw a big growth in my, not just my platform, but also just like everything involving my job. So I feel like maybe there's never just like a wake up one day and be like, this is it. Like, everything's like a slow trudge upward. And eventually you just kind of think, wow, like you have to look back and realize how far you've come, because each day doesn't feel so different than the next until you really compare it. Listening, honestly, this morning as I was getting ready, I was listening to our 2021 podcast, March 2021.
So funny.
And it really put into perspective for me how different things were. I was, like I said, working for the heat, and I was like, oh, this is it, like I love it, whatever, and how different my life is now. And I feel like this is where I'm meant to be at this moment. And yeah, you just have to realize, like, I did it. Take moments to be like, I did it. And maybe in another 3 years, I'll be like, my God, I thought I had made it. And then look at me now.
Look at me now. Yeah. I feel like your next step is a home goods line.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I know it would, because I feel like some of the stuff I see, I'm like, okay, make it so I can buy it.
I know.
I've told you so many times, like, can I just give you my credit card and you can go buy for the house and then just come back with it? Because honestly, your skills in the house your skills in fashion were great, and I loved watching your videos.
Oh, thank you.
But your home stuff is next level.
I know.
I honestly think you have a niche there.
That's the thing. Like, I was actually chatting with some of my friends in the industry, and I was mentioning, I feel like I don't really have a strong niche. And a lot of people are like, niche down. Like, that's a term you hear a lot within the business. But I was like, I'm my own niche, So I don't need to just focus on fashion or just focus on beauty. Like, I share everything that I do. I even have put some cooking videos. I'm learning to make bread.
I love that.
So I'm just sharing
adventures.
My dramatic sourdough journey. But yeah, just sharing different things that are my life. So I can share some fashion, share some home. And I feel like that's the kind of creator I would want to follow. Someone who's not just sharing the same kind of content over and over again.
Yeah, of course. Have you seen the Martha Stewart documentary?
Yes, she's the best.
So
she's so
good.
Cool.
I love her. She's so cool. I kind of feel like you could do something like that,
The
where she was like,
influencer.
I am the niche. Like, I am the brand. I love that.
Exactly.
I'm so happy I got to have you back on today.
I know.
This was so full circle.
I know.
Like, my first interview ever for Koffee, and then now back being recorded on YouTube. So
Isn't
people
that
can finally
crazy?
stop freaking out if I'm going to keep doing. Wait, really quick. I was at Fuse House Pilates.
Ooh.
Amazing.
I've never been.
Hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's not the reformer, it's floor Pilates, which some people lied to me and told me it was easier.
No, it's hard. Pilates in every avenue is difficult.
Horrible. The trainer, her name is Emily, I think, right? It's the first time I've ever done anything heated. I'd never been in a sauna or whatever. So
heated is
infrared, I was like, she's like, it's the toasty 99 degrees today, guys. And I was like, we hadn't even moved. And I'm like, I think I'm dying.
Yeah.
At the end of the class, I'm trying not to vomit. So I'm standing, I'm walking and I'm standing near the trash can, and I'm kind of just like breathing deeply. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm athletic. Why am I about to throw up? And somebody comes up behind me and goes, are you Carly? And I was like,
You're like, hold on, I might yak.
and I was like, yeah. And she's like, when are you going to do the podcast again? And I didn't have enough breath to just tell her, like, we still do it. It's just not filmed.
Of course.
And tell her, like, we just took a little break, whatever. And I was like, oh, I filmed this Thursday with Vila. And she's like, oh my God, I went to high school with her.
Oh my God, no way.
And yeah, I didn't catch her name because honestly, I was out of it. But
100%.
she was like, I love her. She's amazing.
that's
And she was like
awesome.
going off about you. I blacked out because everything she
graduated
said.
200 girls, so it could be anybody.
I'm sure. But she said that she like loved you and that you were
that's so
phenomenal.
sweet.
And
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
awesome.
I blinked the rest of it because I was going to die. And I've never
you're
been
like, I can't
recognized anywhere. But of course it happens
At that moment,
when you're
you're
a
on the
cherry
edge
tomato
You're on the
about to
edge of
vomit.
vomiting.
Pilates. So just so you know, you're so loved everywhere.
Thank you.
And I was so excited to have you on today.
Thank you.
So that's the end of our first
Yay,
visual
and that's a
coffee.
wrap.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much
This
for
was
coming.
awesome.
I'm happy to have you.
It's always so easy talking to you.
It's same. I
Just
feel like
feels-
we're like actual friends. I don't
I
feel like
know.
we're internet friends.
I
feel like
agree.
we're actual
I
friends.
agree. For anyone wondering, we do text and voice note and chat outside of
Our
of
voice
Instagram.
notes are A1.
I know.
The voice notes are mini podcasts, actually.
Literally, it'll be like 4 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Amazing. Yay.